Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Jack Bosch Show, where we talk about all things real estate, finance, and wealth creation. So today, it's going to be a little bit of a different episode. About 3 months ago, I did an episode about me taking off some time and going to walk what's called the Camino de Santiago. And actually, this ended up being much more than that, because it ended up being really literally almost like a 3-month sabbatical. In that 3 months, I spent 1.5 weeks working, about in the middle, and then but the first 35 days and the last about almost 60 days were more or less completely off. So let's talk about how that was, why I did that, why you might want to consider doing something like that, and whether or not it was worth it. It was fantastic. I want to do it tomorrow again. No, just kidding. I can't wait to jump into business right now and work with our team and work with our students and work on our real estate deals and help out wherever my help is needed. But at the same time, it was truly I think what's ended up being a life-changing experience. So the first thing is I started out doing the 35-day Camino de Santiago. If you never heard about it, it's actually a Catholic pilgrimage that you can take from different parts of the world to Santiago de Compostela. 90% of the people don't do it for religious reasons. I'm one of them. I didn't really do it for religious reasons, more for spiritual reasons, and more for just like quiet my mind, step out of the day-to-day, after 25 years of working nonstop, I finally wanted to just take a break. I wanted to just take some time off, just think through life, think through what we have accomplished, make the plan for the next 50 years. I'm 54 now. I consider myself about half time of my life. I have plans to live over 100 years old. But and I mean that, because with new technology and longevity and things like that, I think we all can live into our hundreds, if not beyond that. So I wanted to take time to just think about that, and I knew that if I would stay home, I would just get busy with stuff, and I wanted to do it also not at a meditation retreat somewhere. I wanted to actually have a walking meditation in a way. I wanted to go out there and do that. And basically you walk for 35 days, about 15 miles a day, about 20 kilometers a day, so 20 to 25 kilometers a day. You sleep in very simple hostels, and where you have bunk beds. You pay like $10, $12, $15 a night. You have community dinners. You have like Pellegrino dinners, basically, which is like a 3-course meal for like $15. Very simple, almost the same every day. And you just simplify your life down to very few things. You simplify it down to you have basically 3 sets of clothing. 1 you wear, 2 in the backpack. You have a sleeping bag, you have a hat, you have perhaps a puffer jacket, and a raincoat, and that's it. You simplify it down to, so there's no choice of like, what am I going to wear today? You wear your pair of shoes and you wear your flip-flops and then at night, and that's it. You wear a pair of shoes to walk, and you wear the other pair of pants to walk, and you wear the other pair of pants at night. It's simple as that. Takes all of that out. You don't wonder where you're going to sleep at night. I mean, it's actually a big subject on the Camino, because if you don't pre-plan, sometimes it gets a little challenging to find a place to sleep the next night. But ultimately, you find a place, you put your backpack there, you go into your sleeping bag, you sleep, take a shower, get ready to sleep, get up the next morning and do it again. The third decision is like, where do I eat? Basically, every coffee shop or every bar that comes in sight, you go in, because there's only one every few miles. And the last thing is like, do I turn left or right? And what turns out, it's so well indicated that you can't ever almost be lost. I mean, it's very hard to get lost on the Camino. And so as a result, in 35 days, I walked 450 miles, and I had the time of my life. Your mind slows down. You start hearing the birds chirping much more. You start paying attention to little snails on the street. You start paying attention to the little and beautiful and the free things of life again. The flowers blooming, the birds flying. A towel becomes a luxury item when you get one sometime. You make friendships with people all over the world, which each year there are between 400,000 and 500,000 people walk that. And it's like a little caravan of the same 400 people that you get to see almost every day somewhere. Sometimes you they go out of sight, but then a week later you meet them again because perhaps they had blisters and perhaps they walked faster, but then they have blisters and they had to stay behind. And it becomes this little family that you walk there through, that you have deep conversations with, that you make really deep friendships very quickly, because everyone does the Camino for a reason. Some people lost their children to suicide and never overcame the grief and the guilt feelings. And through the Camino there, life becomes a little bit lighter. Some people went to divorces and challenged everything in their life and didn't plan anything and just walked and found a bed at night without pre-planning anything. And as a result, and challenged their own need for controlling everything. And as a result, they arrived at the end a person that is capable of dealing with more variety and more insecurity in their lives. There's people that had other traumatic experiences, people that walked for charity reasons, people who just wanted to walk, and people who had went down one career path for many years and realized it was the wrong career path, and now they're kind of having second thought. People in their young people in their early 20s, a lot of people that just had either early retirement or just retired in the late 50s, early 60s, and while they're still physically fit, wanted to do that. It was just absolutely fantastic, and you start having really deep, fast, good conversations with people from all over the world and make beautiful friendships. So I made it a point to walk alone every single day. So I wanted to be quiet. I wanted to just be in my thoughts. And very quickly I realized that certain decisions about what we want to do in our business, what we want to focus more on, what we want to focus less on, that were already festering in me, that are really bubbling up, but they weren't fully solved and fully come out yet because life was so busy before, really came out very quickly. Within a couple of weeks, it was clear that those decisions were the decisions we wanted to make. Those decisions were the right decisions, and we need to go full out. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm done. I can go home. But as they say, the Camino has three phases. The first is the physical, where everything hurts. The second one is is mental, where your mind starts acting up. And it's like, why don't you go home? You have the answers to your questions already. What are you doing here? Just walking through like the landscapes. It's raining. It's cold. It's sunny. It's windy. What are you doing sleeping in those places with all these in a room with all these strangers? Everything starts coming up, and you start coming up all kinds of stuff from when you're younger and childhood and things and traumas and stuff like that, and it's all fighting you, and you want to run away, and you just stick with it. And then the third phase starts, which is the spiritual phase. And in this case, the spiritual phase for me started around day 27, when literally everything just fell off. It was actually the event that made it happen was actually a moment when actually the company needed me. After 27 days, I needed to step into the company, and I resented it. I didn't want in that moment. I had just now started to get to the point that I loved it, that I loved getting up in the morning. I was waiting all evening for the next morning to get up and walk again and be in nature and enjoy all of that. And all of a sudden, the company needed me. I was like, I don't want to. But then I did. And then one day, everything fought internal me, and then I just realized that's just part of life. And so what happened is that evening, the next day, I did a shorter day. I checked into one of these hostels, and I sat in the lobby with Wi-Fi, and I just worked for 5 hours with the team, got a whole bunch of things done with Michelle, got everything done. And I was like, okay, that's how it is. And it all fell off, and it made me even enjoy the rest of the trip more, because now I realized, okay, I can actually do both. I can enjoy the peaceful walk where I'm not working, where 5 to 6 hours a day, you're walking those 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers, like 13 to 17 miles a day, and you're taking your breaks, and you're enjoying the beautiful landscapes. And even though it was raining a lot, it was very, very cold, but you're still happy in the simplicity of life. But then when you get there somewhere, you just pull up your phone. In my case, I didn't even have my laptop, and you start working on that. So that's the one thing. Then the Camino ended. Michelle joined me there. Sophia, our daughter, joined me also there. And I was walking in, they were waiting there for me. It was exactly as planned. It was the biggest hug. Tears were flowing. Sophia gave a squeal of joy that went through my bones, through my heart, to my soul. I will never forget that squeal of joy when she saw me again after, in this case, 35, 40 days, because I had spent a few days before in Germany with my parents. So 40 days since I've seen my 16-year-old, and she loves her daddy, and I love her. So, of course, beyond any means. And we hugged, and then we went traveling. And the contrast couldn't have been more stark, because I went from sleeping in a 0-star, no heating, sometimes not even hot water, hostel with 18 other people. The most I've slept in a room was 36 other people. And I went into a 5-star hotel in Lisbon, actually in Portugal, that was like, they brought us in a private room to even check us in. They offered us champagne. The room was a suite. The bed was the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in my life, probably also because I slept on only crappy beds before. But everything was just pure luxury. It was absolutely amazing. And then from there we went to Lisbon. From there we went to Athens, Greece. From there we went to Santorini. From there we went to Istanbul, where we stayed at the freaking Four Seasons in Istanbul, right next to Hagia Sophia and next to the Blue Mosque in between. There's a gorgeous hotel. And we rented private boats in Santorini for a day, a $2 million boat that drove us around, and we jumped in the waters, and we went, from there we went into Germany, visit family, and it went pretty fast paced. So I really never got that opportunity to spend time right after the Camino reflecting about it. But then once we get to my parents, and over the course of these times, there were down times where we just sit on a pool and where you can just like reflect on it. And what I noticed that I had a big smile on my face. What I noticed that life had become slower. Life had become serene. And the lessons that I learned from all of this, and then afterwards we went to Italy, and we went to England, and we went to Paris, and we went to Ireland, and went to something like 11 countries over a 2 months period after that time in Spain. And we just came back home last weekend. And through this entire process, one thing that came up, it's like a underlying serenity that life is going to be okay no matter what. Because if I can be 100% happy, walking through a freaking rainstorm with the rain coming sideways, it being 35 degrees, my gloves being soaked, I'm wearing a poncho. Underneath the poncho, I'm like sweating, and it's like a freaking sauna. Everything is wet, completely wet, from the inside from sweating, from the outside from the rain. And I have a big smile on my face, and I'm simply feeling happy. Then what challenges does life bring that we can't be happy with? Like, then something happens in your business, or you lose money on a deal, or deal falls apart, or a promotion doesn't go well or something. It's still all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay, right? So with that said, of course, we made some plans for the business. We're now implementing that. Another interesting thing came up. I returned from Europe on July 21. But throughout the entire Camino, every time I looked at my watch, it came up again and again and again. The number 722 came up. Number 722 came up. So I finally came to the conclusion of, what does it mean? Why do I constantly pull up my phone in the mornings and it's 7:22 when I'm taking a break, or when I start walking, or when I start looking at my phone? What is it? Well, it's the new beginning. After this 3-month sabbatical, I'm starting the new life on 7/22. And I'm starting it together with my family. I'm starting it together with my daughter. I'm starting it back at home. I'm starting full of energy from 3 months sabbatical. And only great things will come from that. So with that said, what are the lessons learned from all of this? Lessons learned is if you can be happy with a backpack that basically has 15 pounds of your stuff in there, with just basically a pair of extra shoes, a couple of pair of extra pants, a couple of t-shirts, and a couple of medicines and a sleeping bag, then you can be happy no matter what goes on in your life. That also doesn't mean you have to live in poverty. But what it means is that you can focus on what matters most. And for us, what matters most is to basically put our financials in a situation, in a structure, which they already are. So, but perhaps for you is to put your financials in a structure that you can live off those, a lifestyle that is sufficient and that makes you happy. Now, for me, but the second part that did it, first part was complete simplicity. The second part was quite a bit of abundance. And I think the result for me is that there's space for both. And I need to put in more simplicity into my life and then selectively certain nice pieces of abundance. I realized that what I really care for is a really good meal. Spain has amazing food, but if you eat the same pilgrim's menu every single day, you get sick and tired of it. Right? So certain great meals, certain great travel experiences, good hotels. I did get sick and tired of the hostels with 18 other people in a room. And so my future will look like something that I'll put more emphasis on certain travel experiences, even more than before, but they don't all have to be luxury. They can be complete simplicity combined with luxury, because that was a beautiful experience for me right now. Also, before, I was in meetings sometimes from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., half an hour meeting, one after the other. And all of a sudden I realized the company continued to work just fine with me being in 0 meetings. So now I'm blocking off half of my day. I'm doing 3-4 meetings a day maximum. Some of them are the team meetings. Other than that, nobody needs to meet with me. If they didn't need to meet with me for 3 months and things still happened, why do they need to meet with me right now? So again, we sometimes, the conclusion from that is we sometimes take ourselves too seriously. We think we're too important. Our team was able to manage everything beautifully. Let's continue that path. They don't need me for all of these things. They can do that without me. So with that said, going forward, my life will have much more simplicity in it. We'll have much more time for myself in it. We'll have much more time for Michelle in it. We'll have more time for the 3 of us, for the family together, which we already spend much more time than most families together, but now it's going to be more dedicated. It's also time to not just sit, not 3 people in front of a TV, that's not time together. It's dedicated experiences, because when the 3 of us, Michelle, Sophia, and I, do things together, we laugh our freaking butts off. We have the time of our lives. So I want to, and I will put in more experiences like this. So at the end of this next month, we're going to see Bruno Mars in Vegas. I'm already looking at where are other concerts. We went to see Taylor Swift in Germany. It was fantastic. It was a great concert. It was a great. She's a great role model for the people in that age. Like her texts are hard hitting. She's uplifting. The energy was great. Well, let's do more of these things. Let's do the things that we all love to do, and let's do them more together. And they often don't. They're not even expensive. They don't take much time, and you can weave them into your busy schedule. And lastly, I'm going to continue to challenge myself to trust our team more, to trust our environment more, and to really focus on what is most important. And most important for me is right now taking the assets that we have and optimizing them, taking the business that we have and optimizing it. And then most importantly, that was the hierarchy going up, is the time with my family, because I only have 2 years left with my daughter before she goes to college. So with that said, I recommend anyone do the Camino, do it a portion, but if you can, do the full 30, 35 days, because magic starts happening after about 1/3, and particularly after 2/3. When you hit that spiritual time, there were nights when I was sitting in bed, smiling up to both of my ears, and tears streaming down my face. No reason, just pure happiness. Pure happiness. I just couldn't even explain it. I wasn't on social media. I was listening to music, that's it, on my phone at night. And there was just pure happiness and tears streaming down. There was one anecdote. It was the second last day. I talked to somebody. There was a bar, outside seating, was nice weather. And I sit next to a guy, ask him if I could sit there, which is very common in Europe. And he's like, sure. So we get to talk. He was almost done with his Camino. And he left. And I get up, I pack my stuff, and I walk out, and a couple says there and says like, hey, I just overheard you. Did you say that you're on the Camino for 30-something days already? It's like, yeah, it's 33 days today or 34 days today. Tomorrow I finish. And they're like, oh, wow, we just started 5 days ago in this little town called Sarria, where a lot of people start there and only do the Camino for a week for various reasons, health, time, vacation, whatever they have. They're just as valid pilgrims than everyone else. But they're like, how is it? Does it really make such a difference to do 35 days versus 7 days? I don't know these people from Adam. I've never seen them again afterwards. I probably will never see them again. But these strangers asked me, and I was like, yeah, of course it makes a difference. And I explained that concept of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. When I started talking about the spiritual, I literally started choking up, and tears started coming down my face from just the overwhelm of what an impact it has made on me, on my life, on my person, on how I see the world, that in front of some complete strangers, I'm an entrepreneur with over 100 people employed in different roles. I don't do emotion typically. I'm German for that matter. I don't do emotion, or so I thought. But in that moment, I was just like, I told them like, I don't even know what to say. This is not thing. You see me here choking up. You see me here tearing up. That's what this experience did. And they're like, oh my God, yes, I can tell. They were very gracious about it. As a matter of fact, it was very positive because they're like, yeah, I can see that. And the guy said at the end is like, I never thought I would consider doing the full 35 days, but after what you just told me, I want to do the full 35 days, the full Camino Frances from Saint Jean Pied de Port. I don't speak French, so I don't know. Don't kill me for pronouncing it wrong, all the way to Santiago de Compostela. I only did it from Pamplona, which is like 40 miles less, but it's 720 kilometers that I did, about 450 miles. And it will ultimately go down in the books of my life as one of the most life-changing, impactful things that I've done. And again, in front of strangers, I started choking up. That made an impact on them, and they're like, wow, if this guy says that I told them a little bit, I'm a business owner, and I don't usually am emotional. They're like, I can see the impact that has made. So with that said, if you want to do it, encourage you to do it. Check it out. It's a trip of a lifetime. It's a fantastic thing. The one thing I probably would do different is I would perhaps take a week afterwards to just decompress before reconnecting with the family and then traveling. But it was just as wonderful to see him right there walking in, hugging them. I wouldn't want to do it any other way. It was perfect the way it is. So with that said, this is a different episode. It's life is more than just finances. It's more than just real estate. But the real estate and the finances can you put you in a position to actually take the 35 days. So again, in aftermath, my conclusion is our path in life was the right one. Our path in life is the right one. Just important to not get sucked in too deep into the question of when is enough, or get deeper into that question, but instead we all get sucked into the question of just like how can I get more? How can I get more? How can I get more? And sometimes more is by taking time off and minimizing everything. And with that said, thank you very much for your attention. Put in the comments what you think about that. Share it with your friends. Give us a 5-star review. Next episode is about real estate finance and creating wealth again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.